So the other day we did a segment and we talked about how some of the crucial demographics that supported Trump in 2024, they are now abandoning him at a record pace. So you have Hispanics, for example. He was dead even with Hispanics. He had like 45% support, 45% opposed. Just dead even with Hispanics. And, you know, they were crucial for him in the election. Well, guess what? New poll came out. Only 25% of Hispanics still support Trump. So, his numbers just collapsed. So that's one example. Hispanics was one example. Another example was young people. His numbers there also collapsed to 25%. Independents, I believe he's at like 27% or something like that now. He's there's no hope. In a free and fair election, there's no hope for Trump. There's no hope for MAGA because these numbers are catastrophic. And I think a lot of it has to do with just the fact that the economy is totally cooked. That he said he was going to fight inflation. He got in there. He didn't fucking fight inflation. He immediately made it worse, right? You got the Epstein file shit. But that's all ancillary to the economy sucks and everybody feels it. Okay. Well, Trump, I'm sure he feels like, well, as long as I have my ride or die with me, then I'm good. My ride or die people, it's his base. It's the hardcore MAGA Kool-Aid drinkers. It's the fucking conspiracy theorists. And it's the fucking evangelical fundamentalist Christians. Mike Pence's people who... they think Trump is, like a biblical hero. And they think he's fulfilling prophecy and he's going to usher in the end times. Well, guess what? Now there's signs. Even these people are starting to waffle on Trump. Take a look at this. There's a guy by the name of Kirk Cameron. He's a former actor. I believe he was in that show Step by Step. And he became a hardcore fundamentalist Christian to the point where he argues against evolution. He argues for creationism. He's always been a bit of a hyper-religious goofball. Well, now, listen to what he's saying here. Watch.
We have an Insurrection Act for a reason. We have to make sure that our cities are safe.
President Trump says he's sending the National Guard to stop violent crime, protect federal agents, and defend cities that seem out of control. He even said that he might invoke the Insurrection Act. That's kind of ironic, right? Remember January 6th? They called that an insurrection. But that Insurrection Act is a law that allows a president to deploy the military here on American soil. And it's a power that is extreme. It's meant for true emergencies like rebellion, like invasion or anarchy, not just everyday unrest. We need to think about tomorrow. If one president can decide who is a threat, what happens when the next president decides that you are? What if a future president, a far left president, declares that Christians, homeschoolers, and conservative voices are domestic extremists? Would we have any moral ground left to stand on when those same powers are turned on us?
It is adorable and it is precious that this guy is actually trying to use logic to appeal to Trump voters. I genuinely find it precious. Like, it is like my sweet summer child. Do you not understand the people who are in your party? Do you not understand your fellow travelers? Because there is no amount of sound reasoning or rationality or logic that makes them go, that's a good point. What if they did to us what we're doing to them? Yeah, that's a point we've made a million times until we're fucking blue in the face, and these people don't care. They don't care. Why? Because when I do it, it's okay. When you do it, it's wrong. They don't see a problem. They think, I'm good, so when I do it, it's good. You're bad. When you do it, it's bad. So I can do the thing. The idea of laying a precedent that others follow, that doesn't occur to them. Because they think we'll just flip completely on the principle and say the opposite when the time comes when they do it to us. So, credit to him for at least trying to have some sort of logic here and to say, but okay, if they did it, we'd be upset. Yeah, if we did any of the shit you guys did, you'd be fucking furious. If it was a Democrat that cut pediatric cancer research and Meals on Wheels and the National Weather Service, you guys would fucking, of course, be blaming us for these natural disasters where the warning wasn't sent out in time. And of course, you'd be blaming us for the increase in cancers among children. And of course, you'd be blaming us for grandmas going hungry because the fucking Meals on Wheels was cut. But you guys do it and you fucking cheerleader or support it or just pretend like it didn't fucking happen. So, really amazing. But here's the thing. Here's the main point. The fact that a guy like this now is going, I don't know, man. You're kind of going a little too far. You kind of lost me a little bit. I don't like what's happening. I don't like what's becoming of this country. I don't like how, like, literally all of the rules that we thought existed are out the window now. Because that's what the Trump regime is showing. The Trump regime is showing that the law is fake. The rules are totally made up. You can do what you want. And he's doing what he wants. And when you mix this, like, these people not supporting the Insurrection Act, you mix that with, like, what he's objectively done to the country that everybody's about to feel the effects of very shortly, it really does not paint a good picture for Trump and Republicans in the future. When you are illegally holding back the SNAP funding during the government shutdown, even though you're legally allowed to release it, right? That's 40 million people that you're saying, go hungry, I don't care. Go hungry. You think there's not Republicans in that group? You think there's not Republicans among the 15 million people that you just kicked off of Medicaid? You think there's not Republicans? Of course there are fucking Republicans. Of course. There's plenty of Republicans that are going to be impacted by Trump's big bullshit bill that raised taxes on the working class but cut taxes for the rich. People will realize their fucking taxes are going up. They'll realize they lost their food stamps. They'll realize that it's under Trump. You have the doubling, tripling, and quadrupling of healthcare premiums. Like, it's not, I'm sorry, you're not going to be able to keep it together. In this scenario, people can only get squeezed to a certain point, and then it's fucking all bets are off, right? And what you're seeing here, too, is a lot of these red states are also getting hammered, bro. Texas is the hardest hit state when it comes to tariffs. Kentucky, you have 75,000 farms that are threatened. They're going to go under because of the tariffs. 95% of the bourbon market is threatened. Kentucky's also the hardest hit with hospitals closing because of Trump's big bullshit bill. Over 700 hospitals could end up closing. Kansas, the U.S. aid cuts obliterated crop exports from Kansas. That's conservative Republican farmers who are getting hammered. The soybean farmers. Nebraska, beef and pork industries lost their workers. They're getting screwed. Iowa's GDP plunged 6% already because of the tariffs on aluminum and steel and the deportation of the meat plant workers. Like, at some point, my point is, guys, at some point, it all falls apart. At some point, there's no amount of postmodern right-wing bullshit that you can spew into a microphone that makes these people like you, right? Reality always catches up eventually. Yes, it's true, he's built a cult. Yes, it's true, there's some percentage that will never leave the cult. But as I've said to you many times, you have a floor that could be as low as 25 or 26% with that cult. Which means what? You do the math on that. 75% of Americans are going to want this guy's fucking head on a platter. You know, that's the direction it's heading. Because he does not give a fuck about you. He doesn't care. He does not care about Americans, not in the fucking slightest. He cares about his own wealth, his own money, his own power, his own control, his own self-aggrandizement and careerism. That's what he fucking cares about. And so, the fact that even the evangelical Christians now are going, I don't know about that one, Chief. Man, it hasn't even been a year. It hasn't even been a year. And they're saying that. Imagine what it's going to look like after 3 years. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop. And watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.